after taking 2 weeks off of watching Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but tonight's episode was actually a pretty decent, watchable show. The show had an unpredictable, pretty crazy opening, and it had pretty much the same in the ending, and the way we went off the air tonight. And everything in between was not perfect by any means, believe me. There was still plenty of, bullshit that happened that, there's shit there to complain about, believe me. I'll get to it when we get there. But even the stuff in between the beginning and the end was somewhat enjoyable in some way. Obviously, like I said, not all of it, but, a decent amount of it. And overall, the show was actually, again, enjoyable to watch. Usually I'll just come on here right off the bat and just shit all over the show and tell you how bad it was, but when the show was enjoyable and and I like what I'm watching, I will let you know. I'm not somebody who's here just to shit on WWE, just to be cool or fit into some niche crowd or whatever people want to say. I just call it like I see it, and tonight I'm calling it that it was a good show where I'm kind of interested to see what happens next week. And honestly, that's all me or anybody else really asks for. All we ask for is to just give us a show that's decent, at least decent, and makes us want to tune in next week to see, where the story goes and what happens next. That's really all we ask for. And tonight I feel like we got that. Was it a perfect show? Again, no. But we're going to go over everything. And yeah, it's no secret that, Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff were hired to be directors of Raw and SmackDown, and if they were given the go to start tonight as far as putting their fingerprint on things, then I believe it was felt tonight. I can definitely see some of Paul Heyman's fingerprints on some of this show, because the show overall, it felt a little bit different. It didn't feel exactly like every Monday Night Raw. And if this is the start of what's to come, then I'm all for it, man, because myself and all of us have been just longing for just something to watch on Monday that doesn't piss us off when we're done watching. And tonight, again, we finally got that. So let's get into this. Raw starts. I wish there was an opening to the show. I wish they would have started with that, like a video package of Raw highlights with the music playing over it, and then maybe open up to some pyro. But maybe we'll get that somewhere down the line in the future, just to make the shows feel cool again when they open. So we didn't get that, but it is what it is. But what we didn't get, thank God, was a fucking awful promo from the likes of a Baron Corbin or a Seth Rollins or whoever come out, and then they get interrupted and blah, blah, blah. We didn't get that tonight, so thank fucking Christ for that. We got, instead, something that I really wasn't interested in, especially since I haven't watched in 2 weeks, and then I tune in tonight and I see that these guys are still feuding, which is Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley. So the night starts off with them having a Falls Count Anywhere match. I heard Braun Strowman's music hit. I'm not going to lie. I was like, here we go, same old bullshit. I got up and I made myself something to eat. And then I come back, and it's pretty much them brawling on the stage. And then Strowman bum rushes Bobby Lashley through the Minitron. And, like I said, even though I had zero interest in this, I did appreciate this over-the-top stunt that they did where, again, Lashley got, pretty much bulldozed through the Minitron with an overwhelming amount of explosions going on and small pyro just going off. And then hearing Corey Graves on commentary yell, holy shit, live on the air. You got to appreciate, this spot in some way. Between Graves using profanity live on TV during commentary, and then just, a match actually opening up the show with a crazy spot like this where shit's going down, and, it had this attitude era, even aggression era like feel to it. So again, I can appreciate it, even though I didn't give two fucks about this feud. I don't know who did, but I tip my hat to WWE starting off Monday Night Raw totally different from how they usually start it. And this whole thing took up the better part of like the first 30 minutes of the show, you know. But again, I can appreciate unpredictable, you know, starts to a Monday Night Raw. I didn't expect this to happen. I was expecting Raw to start off with a Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins or Baron Corbin coming out and doing the same old bullshit. But you know, again, we didn't get that tonight, so you know, hats off to WWE for doing something unpredictable for once. Getting off topic for a second, we then get our first commercial break, and we see a commercial for a show that I might actually be interested in on the USA Network, and it's called the Straight Up Steve Austin Show with Stone Cold, and him just, I guess, having special guests on the show every day or every week and just doing Stone Cold stuff, I guess, shooting guns and drinking beer. I don't know. It looks kind of interesting. I just wanted to throw that in there because it does look pretty good if you happen to miss that and fast forward to commercials like I normally do. But before I was able to pick up the remote and hit fast forward, it popped up and I said, hey, let me take a look at what this show is, and it looks decent. Anyway, getting back to Monday Night Raw. We come back and we get the War Raiders versus the New Day, and again, I appreciated how the stage was still like had no power, so the Minitron and the Titantron, everything was still down and blacked out during the entrance of the War Raiders. I was kind of hoping that it would be like this for most of the night, if not all of the night, but that wasn't to me, or that wasn't to be. Would have been a pretty cool aspect, but, you know, fuck me, I guess. You know, I don't always get what I want, that's for sure. But at least we had the War Raiders, you know, getting TV time, you know, not being kept in the back again for another fucking 6 weeks. I noticed during this match also, and also the Minitron and the Titantron, everything got their power back during the New Day entrance, so like I said, that didn't last, but it would have been cool if it did, but it didn't. But this match did have a few different camera angles here and there that I noticed, that I actually enjoyed. You know, it gave it a different feel here and there. They had these just different camera, not the same old Kevin Dunn's, you know, bullshit camera angles every single week, which, you know, aren't always bad, but, you know, you just get tired of seeing the same shit and everything feels the same. So there's a few different things here and there. You know, obviously they had their regular camera angles like they normally do, but I noticed a few different ones here, so I enjoyed that. You know, anything different is always going to be good in some way, just because, you know, you get tired of seeing the same shit week in and week out. This match really never really got too started. I mean, it went on for about 6 or 7 minutes. And the 6 or 7 minutes that we did get, they were getting pretty physical, but the match was cut short when Samoa Joe came through the crowd and he locked in the Coquina clutch on Xavier Woods, which then obviously led to Kofi Kingston coming out. Him and Samoa Joe started brawling at ringside. This led to the War Raiders coming over to join in on stomping on the WWE Champion. We go to commercial break, and of course, you know, what do you think this led to when we got back from commercial break? If you guessed a 6-man tag, then ding ding ding, you're fucking correct. Now, again, I'm no fan of 6-man tags every week. They happen every week, but something about this one just felt a little bit better than it normally does. I don't know really what it was. I can't really explain, except for maybe it was the intensity that these 6 men can bring. You know, when the New Day's not throwing fucking pancakes around and they actually want to bring it, they can fucking bring it. So at least the 6-man, I don't know if it felt more natural just the way it was, just because of the storylines that are going on with, you know, Kofi and Samoa Joe and just the intensity these guys brings, but it just felt a little bit different, so I was letting this 6-man tag slide, even though I really still don't want to see them every fucking week, but I'll let this one slide because these 6 guys did go at it during this match. But I am kind of still not really into this wild card rule. You know, I like to see more of a real brand split, but I'm going to tell you right now, as of right now, that's not happening. Is it going to happen anytime soon? I don't know. I doubt it. But again, this match was very physical, and it was just the way it needed to be to make it feel like it was worth something. Like, the intensity that Joe and the War Raiders brought along with the New Day was pretty good, even though the match didn't really mean anything, but at the same time, it gave Joe a little bit of momentum, as you'll see as we get here to the end of this match, which the match came to an end with some stuff going on the outside. You had Big E going for his signature spear. He got kneed in the face and then thrown to the outside or whatever. Then Xavier Woods came in. He did his through the middle rope drop kick, and then I don't know if it was Eric or Ivar or Hanson or Rowe, whatever the fuck you want to call these guys. The biggest dude, I really don't know what his new name is, but he came in. I don't know, I'm just having a brain fart. I can't remember names right now. He came flying through the middle ropes with a suicide dive. Looked absolutely fucking devastating. Then Kofi nailed him with the Trouble of Paradise as he tried to get back on the apron. Then during this distraction, obviously Joe came from behind, ever the opportunist, locked in the clutch, and it was night-night for Kofi Kingston. And Samoa Joe picks up a big W, which means he'll probably pick up the big L when it comes to the WWE Championship match that he has with Kofi Kingston at Extreme Rules. I'm not a fan of champions, again, losing on weekly television, but Kofi Kingston has been booked pretty strong as far as his character. He hasn't really lost any matches on TV, so I'll let this one slide. But it's never good to see champions losing on regular TV every single week, which tends to be the case. I feel like at least one champion loses almost every single week on television. That really shouldn't be, but this one made Joe look pretty credible going into their championship match at Extreme Rules, but in the end of the day, I don't see Samoa Joe winning at Extreme Rules, but we'll see what happens. This then leads to a 24/7 title moment where we get a video of Drake Maverick at his wedding when he's walking away after they officially get married. I use that in quotations. It looked fucking ridiculous. He gets rolled up by R-Truth, and R-Truth gets the belt back, and then he's seen bringing his wife to Raw for their honeymoon. Drake Maverick is. His wife then says it's her the title since English is a hard language, people. Bear with me here. Drake Maverick's obsession with the 24/7 title is getting out of hand, so his wife pretty much says it's her or the title. He says he chooses her or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Truth then shows up and says he's a sucker for romance, and then walks off singing some romance music. Again, this 24/7 title thing doesn't really do much for me, but damn if R-Truth doesn't do his best to make it somewhat enjoyable. I don't know if there's anybody else in the company that can make this 24/7 title as somewhat enjoyable as he can, even though it still really doesn't do anything for me, but R-Truth in this role is doing the best he can, and I think he is pretty great at this role. It's just, do I want to see it on Raw, 3, 4, 5 times a night? Not really. Anyway, we come back from commercial, and we get in AJ Styles and the club segment backstage. AJ says how the club brought the fire last week, but still wind up taking the L, and then they try to retaliate against him and say, well, you weren't so great last week in your match with Ricochet either, as he almost lost to Ricochet. But in my world, almost doesn't count, and a win is kind of a win, especially when it was clean. So AJ won clean last week, so their rebuttal was kind of just nonsensical, as AJ won his match and they did not. Anderson then says that he has a side bet with Gallows that AJ can't beat Ricochet for the U.S. title, and he's willing to bet his hot Asian wife that he can. I don't know why this was a thing, since we all know AJ is married, but okay. We then get King Ezekiel with the green hair, or No Way Jose, as some of you might know him as, versus Cesaro. This match never gets started, thank Christ, so nobody wants to see this match. We just get Cesaro destroying No Way Jose on the outside by giving him a neutralizer at ringside, and that was pretty much it. During this No Way Jose thing, Truth was out there with the conga line, tempting Maverick, who was sitting at ringside for whatever fucking reason with his wife, by dancing with his wife, and then laying himself over the barricade, flaunting the the 24/7 title at him. And luckily this part ended quickly, and this whole segment was over within like 4 minutes, because nobody wants to see it. But I guess anything to kill TV time, right? Anyway, moving on. There was a lot of backstage interviews and moments tonight, so just bear with me because there was a lot. So we get another one here. With the Raw debut, if you want to call it that. They didn't have a match. They were just literally in 2 backstage segments with the Street Profits, who I'm a big fan of, the NXT Tag Team Champions. It's very random. But again, these guys are very entertaining. I don't know what their role was at this point, as they didn't say what they were there for, but I mean, again, at the very least, they were wearing the NXT tag titles and they were entertaining. And I know them wearing the NXT tag titles was fucking shocking. Believe me, I was shocked too, because when the War Raiders were on Raw and they were the NXT Tag Team Champions, it was never mentioned. So finally, we get some NXT gold on Monday Night Raw, and it's mentioned. Go figure. Next is another backstage interview. I told you there's a lot here. This one's with The Miz. we get a recap of last week on SmackDown Live with Miz getting beat down by Shane and McIntyre, or Elias, or whoever the fuck it was. I don't remember. I didn't watch SmackDown last night. I don't remember. Or last week. Miz says that he's the one that started this whole Shane best in the world mindset when he thought hyping up Shane after that whole World Cup fucking bullshit tournament happened, and he thought that hyping up Shane would help his own career, but now he realizes that wasn't the case, and now Shane surrounds himself with his own security, talking about Drew McIntyre, the Revival, and Elias. Miz then says that Shane will need to find a replacement for Elias, as he is going to send him back to an out-of-work musician playing for change in the subway. Ha ha. And as far as Shane, he says, I hear The Undertaker might be here tonight, and then he just walks off. Kind of a pointless segment, but, nonetheless, again, anything to kill time. So, like I said, the show wasn't perfect. Like, shit like this was not needed, but, I guess it got the job done leading up to what was going to happen later on in the night, so I guess I can appreciate some effort, but again, no, it's feuds that I don't really care about, so hopefully we get some better ones going forward, and then maybe I'll care, but this one, not so much. After this, we get more of the Shane show, since that's what it's been for like the last month or two. As him and McIntyre make their way out, and as per usual, he has Mike Rome do his special announcement. After this, Graves then says on commentary that he should save that role for Greg Hamilton only. I'm not going to lie, I laughed a little bit, but because Mike Rome isn't as good as doing it as Greg Hamilton, I'm not going to lie, but Mike Rome, as I've said before, is absolutely great at what he does. I think he's much better than JoJo. If JoJo never came back to Raw in that role, I would be pretty happy, because I did not think she was all that good. Mike Rome is much better. He gets you way more excited, and that's that. Anyway. Shane then says, let's talk about Roman Reigns for a second, and how they were going to decimate him last week, and how Reigns must have been terrified at facing himself and McIntyre. Yeah, I'm sure he really was. We then get a recap of what happened last week. McIntyre says the footage speaks for itself. Of course, they didn't show the part where The Undertaker returned. They just showed the part where they were destroying Roman Reigns, and McIntyre says the footage speaks for itself, and that it's inevitable for them to destroy him at Extreme Rules. Shane says they will put both men into the ground at Extreme Rules. Blah, blah. Again, I'm not really caring too much about here. I don't really care too much for Shane right now. McIntyre I do like, but playing Shane's lackey and other people's lackeys just, isn't going to get me invested in him. If anything, it's going to take away any interest I have in him, to the point where if they do give him a push, nobody's going to give a fuck. McIntyre then says how Taker is the biggest legend of all time in this business, but he himself is no ordinary man, and he doesn't give a damn about The Undertaker. Says that he has heard the rumors of The Undertaker being there, and that McIntyre has come to fight. He then called out The Undertaker. We then get some rumbling thunder and lightning noises, and the lights start flickering, and then the lights go out. Lightning then strikes the ring post. As cheesy as ever, but I still love it because it's The Undertaker. We then hear the ominous bells go off, and the tolls, and then Taker's music hits. Taker then takes about fucking 25 seconds before he finally comes out when his music's playing, makes his way out to a huge pop, as to be expected. We can all say what we want about The Undertaker and how he's old, and some people say he's washed up and he needs to go away. And that all might be well and true, but, after 25 plus years, the man is still a draw, and he can still elicit huge fan reaction that not many other people can do in this business. So for someone to be able to still draw that kind of reaction after this long in the business is pretty fucking, it's pretty crazy, man. Shane and Drew then stand behind the timekeeper's area in the crowd as Taker makes his entrance. Taker gets in the ring, grabs a mic, says that Reigns never asked him for his help, and says, though, if they need answers to why he showed up last week, that he just needed to remind them of who he is. Says he's been the reaper of wayward souls, and has been for a long time, and now he's here to collect their souls. Says he had Shane, or said, wait, sorry, blah, blah, blah. Fucking let's rewind here. Taker then says that Shane had his respect a little bit for a little while after their Hell in a Cell match at Mania 32. Says Shane, though, like most immortals, fell victim to his own greed and ego. Says that Shane might be the best in the world or might be the best in this world, which is a fucking ridiculous thing for the Undertaker to be saying. Nonetheless, he said it. He said, but where he's gonna send him, he will be nothing but a lost soul in the stench of death, and that they will never rest in peace. He does the Undertaker cutthroat motion, and that was pretty much that. McIntyre and Shane then retreat through the crowd, kind of looking like cowards, so it didn't do much for them. You know, Drew McIntyre was sitting behind the timekeeper's area. Fucking Christ, dude, I'm tired. McIntyre was sitting behind the timekeeper's area, looking like he wasn't scared and trying to look all intimidating, but really in the end it didn't do much for him, as he's seen pretty much scurrying through the crowd with Shane McMahon. So really, I don't know what this did for them, but it didn't do much. Next, we get a quick clip of Corbin and Evans backstage. Again, more backstage stuff. I told you, there's a lot of it, people. Saying how an Extreme Rules match benefits him and Lacey. I don't really understand that logic, but okay. I mean, because they're heels and they can cheat and use dastardly tactics. I mean, I guess. Anyway, he asks if it's worth it for Rollins to risk it all for his latest fling, and if she, Becky Lynch, is actually worth it. Evans then says something pretty much of the same. I didn't really fucking listen to what she has to say because I don't care. And she just says that Seth has wandering eyes or blah, blah, blah. I don't fucking know. Who cares? And then it just randomly cuts back to The Undertaker walking up the ramp doing his, you know, hand in the air fucking pose and walking away. It was a very weird transaction, if you ask me. I don't know who the fuck thought that was a good idea. But I guess it's better than watching The Undertaker take, you know, 7.5 minutes to walk back up the ramp just to leave. So, that's that. We then get a Natalya versus Lacey Evans match. You know, again, you know, the show tonight was, like I said, it was a pretty decent watchable show. Well, I swear to God, these Alexas are fucking constantly listening to you. Alexa, shut up. Anyway. Oh, Jesus Christ. We then get Natalya and Lacey Evans, and like I said, I fast forward through most of this match because, you know, like I was trying to say before, the show was decent, but it had its flaws, believe me, and this is one of them. I just did not give a fuck about this match. I did see towards the end where Corbin tripped up Natty as she was bouncing off the ropes looking for a basement dropkick, and then because of the distraction and the referee's blind as fucking, for some reason he's looking at Evans on the ground instead of looking at Natalya. Get tripped up. Evans then hits her awful-looking woman's right finisher and picks up the victory, and there you go. I mean, did you think Natalya had a chance at winning this match? Of course not. Not especially with Baron Corbin at ringside. Ricochet is then having his moment backstage being interviewed. Again, just countless fucking backstage interviews, which I'm fine. Especially with the one that we saw here. This is probably this is definitely the best backstage segment they had all night. We got Ricochet being interviewed. Says that if he's asked about how, you know, how his loss to AJ last week affected him or whatever, and he was just pretty much saying how it was an honor to main event Raw with AJ Styles, yada yada yada, and says that if him and AJ go again, that he will beat AJ Styles. Then the club interrupts, Gallows and Anderson, pretty much kind of instigating Ricochet, saying how AJ could have beaten him easily, trying to get him worked up, and saying that the real AJ would have destroyed him in mere minutes or mere seconds, and says that AJ was just pretty much toying with him the whole match. And then he says that he doesn't want any problems, and then they say, well, you don't have any problems with us, but you might have problems with someone else, and then they walk off very, like, outsiders-like. You got, like, Anderson doing, like, the Scott Hall finger gesture where he just goes, like, ooh. And you got fucking, you know, Luke Gallows just looking, like, all big and tall, like a Kevin Nash type character. So that was kind of cool. Then, of course, they then go, when we come back from commercial, to AJ Styles, and they start kind of like instigating with him and pumping him up, saying that Ricochet was talking shit and embellishing on what he said. Said that they're wondering where the old and real AJ Styles is that would slap the taste out of Ricochet's mouth for running his mouth. AJ then walks up to Ricochet just a few seconds later, says, have you really been running your mouth? And pretty much says that he's going to take the title from him tonight. And I don't know if this was a planned title match or if this was just like on the fly, like, but it looked more like on the fly where he just challenged him right there. So he challenged him to a title match. He agrees. He goes to shake AJ's hand. AJ slaps the living shit out of him. Ricochet then retaliates with his own slap where he slaps the shit out of AJ Styles. AJ Styles looks like he's going to punch him. And then he just smiles and says, this is going to be good. and walks away. And I'm not going to lie, this segment was pretty damn good, and it had me pretty hyped to see what these two guys can do in the main event. And we'll get to that when we get there. Up next, we get probably the second most worthless part of the night. We get a 2 out of 3 falls match between the Miz and Elias. First fall happens within, I don't know, the first fucking 23 seconds, with the Miz just hitting a skull-crushing finale and pinning Elias for the first fall. Cole says that they're not going to take a commercial break until after the second fall, so about 42 seconds later, Elias scores a fall with the drift away and pins Miz, and then boom, we instantly go to commercial. So pretty much a waste of time. Doesn't make either man look strong, makes them both look fucking ridiculous. Getting 2 falls in a matter of fucking a minute and 10 seconds. You know, I don't understand this new 2 out of 3 falls thing with the... It just doesn't make any sense, and it's all because they don't want to go to commercial during matches. You know, why not just cut out the useless talk show segments like a moment of piss, or a moment for a piss, and all this other useless crap that they have, and just add commercials there, and add extended commercials even if you want to, and then we can get extended TV time for actual matches. So if you have a 15-20 minute match, you can just stay live on the air, and then just take an extended like 8-minute fucking commercial break. I'd rather sit through 8 minutes of commercials and not have a fucking Bliss fucking segment where she's sitting on stage with no importance behind it than miss out on a good 20-minute match. So take out the moment for a piss segments and all that shit, give us 8 minutes of commercials, but then give us a 15-20 minute match on Raw, and I'll be fine with it. I don't know why they don't just do this instead of doing these fucking stupid little tricks that they're trying to do to go to commercial and not have wrestling take place during it. I don't know. Anyway, we come back. The rest of this match was very Miz wins with a figure 4 after Elias pretty much rams his fucking knee into the ring post, and he taps out to the figure 4, and that's that. Miz gets the win over Elias. We then get probably the worst backstage segment. We get the first half of this segment was pretty bad. Then it got a little bit interesting, kinda. We get Rollins and Becky Lynch backstage. Rollins then says that they want to send their wishes to Strowman and Lashley first. Nobody cares. Fuck out of here. This interview was just, honestly, in the beginning, was just so goddamn cringe, man. I'm not lying to you. Caruso asked Seth if he's impulsive by making the decision he did to put a winner-take-all stipulation, or accept it or whatever. And then Seth goes to Becky and asks if he's impulsive, and she starts making these stupid dumb noises like, psh, huh, what, psh, huh. And this went on for like fucking 22 seconds for like no reason. It was extremely fucking annoying. And she just basically says that he is impulsive. Whatever, man. Then starts to get kind of interesting when Maria Kanellis, of all people, interrupts this and says that her and her bitch, referring to her husband Mike, will take on Seth and his bitch. And then she was going on saying some other shit about being the first couple of WWE and how she should get a fucking title for pushing out an 8-pound baby out of her uterus or some other shit. I don't know what the fuck that was all about, but it's what she said. So she basically just called her husband her bitch. So that was the start of this, what you're going to see here, because Mike Kanellis just got absolutely shredded tonight. So we get a mixed tag team match. During this match, Seth is pretty much just fucking Mike Kanellis up. He forces him to tag in Maria. Becky comes in. Maria then goes to the outside, grabs a microphone, and starts yelling at her husband Mike and how he was supposed to protect her in this match, and saying how he was going to mop the floor with Seth, but she should have known he couldn't do that since he can't even mop the floor at home. The crowd starts oohing and eyeing and getting all over this. And then as Becky goes to the outside to attack Maria Kanellis, she yells that she's pregnant. And then you hear Mike Kanellis, who's standing on the apron, saying, "How can you be pregnant?" And Maria says, "I don't know, because I don't think you're man enough to even get me pregnant." And then Becky pretty much throws Mike Kanellis over the ropes after he's demasculated even more. Locks in the disarmer. Mike Kanellis taps out. And at this point, he's like, I felt absolutely horrible for this man. This is so fucking embarrassing. At the same time, it's, I guess, compelling television. It's a little edgy. So after the match, we got Maria starts taking more shots at Mike and taking more shots at his masculinity, saying how the only man here tonight was Becky Lynch, and maybe the next time she'll ask Becky Lynch to impregnate her since Mike can't. And I really don't have words for all of this that we've seen between the backstage segment and then this after match promo here, but I guess it's a change in edginess, I suppose. I mean, I'm not really going to complain about it. A couple of freaking couple of one-liners that were just fucking over the top here, man. And the crowd was into it. The crowd was oohing and eyeing and getting all over this shit. So I guess it did its job. I mean, I'm not going to complain about it. It's different. I felt really bad for Mike Kanellis. I mean, I don't really think he can rebound after that. But, I mean, I don't know, man. We'll see where it goes from there, man. But he got absolutely fucking destroyed in every possible way tonight. And if you don't believe me, just go back and watch for yourself, man. I mean, poor guy. As a man myself, man, I felt for the guy. If some woman did that to me on national TV, kayfabe or not, my God. Whether it's kayfabe or not, it's like fucking embarrassing, dude. I'm sorry, man. Props to him for sitting there and taking it all. Anyway, we get Paul Heyman backstage. I don't know what he said in the beginning, but he pretty much said that Lesnar might be there tonight. Yeah, right. Sure thing, Paul. He's then interrupted by the Street Profits, who are mocking his Brock Lesnar delivery where he goes, Brock Lesnar, and they start mocking that shit. Heyman then leaves, and he says, I'm going to go this way, and he goes to the right. He leaves, and then they start singing Rockabye Baby, and then they can't finish the lyrics, but they said it's a great song, and then they leave the opposite way that Paul Heyman did. And at this point, I just feel like with Heyman being on screen, and because he said he also said before he left, he said I have a lot of stuff to do. I'm a very busy man. I guess kind of like hinting at his new role now in WWE. And at this point, I'm just like, man, I can feel Heyman's fingerprints all over this shit. Not all over it, but here and there, you can just see little fingerprints of Paul Heyman. Between some of the more edgier shit that you're hearing and just some of the way that things were presented in a way with the opening of the show and then the intensity in the 6-man tag match. You can just feel little things here and there, and this is the kind of stuff that we needed, man. Like little stuff like this, Obviously, I'm not asking for a perfect show. No show was perfect. Even the Attitude Era had its moments of blunders, but this is definitely so far a step in the right direction. And then, of course, it wouldn't be a Monday Night Raw without a moment for a piss. Now, would it? Now, again, this is where you could take an extended 8-minute commercial break instead of having this segment air live on television, but I digress. Bliss then comes out for her annoying talk show bullshit. Her guest is Nikki Cross, and we look back at SmackDown Live and how she pinned Bayley to somehow earn Alexa Bliss a rematch at the SmackDown Women's title. I don't really know what sense this makes. She says Bliss was the first one to take her seriously, and she's grateful for it, and blah, blah, blah. Of course, this is then quickly interrupted. This time it's by Carmela. She says to Nikki that you're the one who pinned Bayley, so why does Bliss get the match? And I couldn't agree with you any more than that, Carmela. I really can't. You finally said something that I agree with. Carmela then challenges Bliss to a match. They walk to the ring. The bell rings. The ring bells. Whatever, man. We then get a match that nobody asked for. And Carmela rolls up Bliss for the win in about 5.2 seconds. We go to commercial, come back. It's now Carmela versus Nikki Cross. Nikki Cross picks up the win in a pretty sloppy looking match. It wasn't the worst, but it was pretty sloppy. It wasn't, the moronics sloppy, but it was sloppy nonetheless. And if this isn't leading to Nikki Cross eventually winning a title somewhere down the road by, I don't know, the beginning of fall or something, I don't really know when to put a time on it, but if it's not leading to that, then I don't know what the point of this is. The real question is, where does Bayley factor in this? Because she's the women's champion. Is she just going to job out to Alexa Bliss at the pay-per-view just for this storyline? I mean, I hope not. But, I mean, if this isn't leading to somehow Nikki, God damn it today, man. Woo! If this doesn't lead to Nikki Cross winning a SmackDown Live or Raw Women's Championship, mostly SmackDown Live or whatever belt she wins, I mean, I really don't know the point, but, I mean, I feel like for it to pay off, I guess she probably has to defeat Alexa Bliss, so that just goes to make me wonder, is Alexa Bliss going to win at Extreme Rules and defeat Bayley for the SmackDown Live Women's Championship? I don't know. I guess we'll just have to wait and find out, but after this, we go to commercial, we come back, and then Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss are, again, being interviewed backstage real quick, and they're asked how they feel about the WWE fans. I'm not going to say the universe, I hate that term, but about how the WWE fans want Nikki Cross to get the title match instead of Bliss, and Bliss just puts her hand over the mic and says no comment, and then pretty much just takes Nikki Cross by the arm and just walks away while Nikki Cross looks confused. So we'll see where this goes. This is definitely leading to them feuding eventually, but hopefully they do it correctly. Am I interested in it right now? Not really, but I'm at the same time I'm slightly interested just because I want to see Nikki Cross succeed. But you know, it's a feud that isn't really making everybody buy tickets. Anyway, we then get this transitions real quick into R-Truth being backstage, and he's out of breath because everybody's chasing him all night as usual. He sees Drake Maverick there. Maverick says he's cool. He doesn't want the belt anymore. He just wants his wife. Truth turns around. He smacks Truth with his luggage, and then pins Truth and wins the 24/7 title. And then scurries off with his wife, and says now their honeymoon is 24/7. I don't really know what this is doing for anybody. It was pretty fucking pointless, but nonetheless, it happened, and there we go. Up next, we get to the best part of the night, which is actually. And believe me, this main event was great. It did have its one moment that, kind of just didn't make any sense, and we're going to get to it in a minute. But overall, this whole main event segment was fucking fantastic. I love the way the show went off the air tonight. So we got U.S. Championship, AJ Styles versus Ricochet. And I can't tell you how much it makes me happy inside to see the U.S. title finally getting some spotlight in the main event. And on top of that, with some damn good wrestlers fighting over it, in AJ Styles and Ricochet. So this match starts, and I would say about maybe 3 minutes into it, Styles hits a phenomenal forearm, just literally, like, out of nowhere. I definitely didn't think he was going to connect. Referee counts 3, even though Ricochet's foot was under the bottom rope, but of course the refs in this fucking company are retarded. Can't see half the shit that's going on. And AJ Styles is awarded the United States title. Another ref comes out and points out that Ricochet's foot was under the ropes. And now the part that confuses me and kind of just like pisses me off a little bit is that this definitely does not always happen, and I don't know why this spot was any more special or different that a referee had to come out and point this out. I mean, Samoa Joe's shoulder wasn't down against Rey Mysterio when Mysterio pinned him, but there was another referee that came out to point it out to the official in the match and reverse the decision. So, I mean, this was just, obviously, it was just another way to go to commercial when there's not in-ring action happening. I really didn't like this at all. It kind of took away from the match just a little bit. And yeah, it just didn't make any sense. I mean, how often do referees really come out and, get the official ref to restart the match because of something that he didn't see? It, never happens. But this is their new rule and new way of getting out of, going to commercial break during actual wrestling. Anyway, we come back, and the club is outside the ring, and AJ is yelling at them to leave. Obviously, they don't leave. He gets back in the ring. The referee starts the match, and I'm not gonna lie. I'm willing to put all of this stupid bullshit that happened before this out of mind for a good title match here, or something entertaining and just something that's not fucking stupid and illogical, but still, it's dumb nonetheless. But I'm willing to just kind of ignore it somewhat. Anyway, this match didn't go much longer after it was restarted. I would say maybe 6 minutes, with Ricochet doing the craziest fucking roll-up I think I've ever seen, which went on for about 8 seconds before he finally got to the last part of the roll-up, where he actually pins AJ Styles for the win clean. And, I'm cool with it. It didn't go long, but it also didn't give away too much of what these guys can do. And from what we saw, the little bit that we did see in this match, I mean, fuck, man. If these guys get 20, 25 minutes on a pay-per-view, they're going to fucking tear the house down. You can just see what they were doing tonight. There was one part where Ricochet went for a standing drop kick, and AJ Styles, got hit in the shoulder, but at the same time he brushed it off. But then Ricochet, in mid-flight with the drop kick, even though, AJ pushed him off and, countered it, he landed on his feet and did, a backflip, and then he did a step-up enziguri followed by a suplex where he lifted you up, and then instead of just going fully all the way back, he would just lift you halfway up, and then he would do almost like a corkscrew neck breaker. So that was pretty fucking cool. And you could just see the small things that these guys were doing in this match, that these guys are going to tear it down. Most likely probably at Extreme Rules when they fight over the U.S. Championship, because the way this night ends, a rematch is coming. So anyway, like I said, Ricochet picks up the win. AJ shakes Ricochet's hand at the end of the match. The club is on the outside kind of mocking it. They're sitting there clapping yeah, AJ, what a fucking great sportsman you are. Just throwing jabs at him. They then yell something to AJ about, where's the real AJ? AJ then just snaps and just starts attacking Ricochet, punches him right in the fucking face. The club then gets in the ring after AJ says, "What the hell are you waiting for?" So they get in the ring, they storm it, they pick up Ricochet, hit him with the Magic Killer, and it looks as if AJ has officially turned heel, and the club is full-blown back together and in full force, and I fucking love it. The club then picks up Ricochet as AJ's sitting on the second rope. They assist him in him hitting a second rope Styles Clash, which looked fucking amazing. And the crowd was just all over this. I mean, this fucking Styles Clash was absolutely brutal, and Ricochet sold it like a damn god. You thought it was over after that, but then they took Ricochet again. They picked him up, punched him in the face again. He just collapses in a dead heap. And then they get on top of him, grounding and pounding, as Ricochet is just absolutely defenseless, can't even get his hands up. They just continue their onslaught by delivering right hand after right hand. And then they pretty much stand over him with AJ in the middle, putting his foot over Ricochet's chest. And they all just throw up the Too Sweet symbol in the air. And that's how we go off the air. And the crowd was absolutely shitting all over AJ Styles, but in a good way. Like booing him, you know, because he did what heels do. He got a response that he needed, and this wasn't this was a fucking perfect way to end Raw. The crowd was all over this, booing the shit out of AJ Styles, and at the same time kind of loving what we're seeing. And that's how we went off the air, and this was a fucking fantastic finish to Monday Night Raw. Probably one of the better finishes we've seen in quite some time. It's good to see AJ Styles back as a heel and looking fresh and ready to go. It's good to see Gallows and Anderson finally getting some fucking TV time when we know that these guys are multi-talented and deserve some spotlight on the main roster here. Now that they're paired back with AJ Styles, maybe, just maybe, we'll get some decent tag team wrestling back and a tag division back, and we can see them, eventually grab the tag team titles while AJ maybe grabs the US title, or maybe he even grabs the Universal title from Rollins in the near future. I don't know. But I mean, I really can't complain. Between the opening, which was unpredictable and cool, even though it was with two guys that I just don't give a shit about, says something, because I actually was like, damn, that was a pretty good opening segment, all the way to the end of this night where we had this great closing to a Monday Night Raw. I mean, I really don't have many complaints for tonight. When the night was over and the show went off the air, I didn't feel annoyed. I didn't feel like I wasted all my time. I mean, again, there was some stupid bullshit in between the beginning and the end, but I don't ask for a perfect show, man. I just want a somewhat decent show. Give me something that's watchable and that makes me want to see what happens next week. Right now, I want to see what happens next week with this whole AJ Styles and Club thing. I want to see where it goes. Not going to sit here and lie to you. What's going on with Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley? I don't know. I guess we'll find out next week, and that's all really, as wrestling fans, we can ask for. It's just continuous storyline that makes sense and makes us want to come back to keep watching, because we haven't gotten that in quite some time. And the question is, can WWE follow up next week and tomorrow night and continuously give us at least decent shows for now until we can work up to getting better shows? Because tonight again was decent. I'm going to give this a passable show. I'm not going to sit here and shit all over it. And maybe this is a step finally in the right direction. A small step, but a step nonetheless. Maybe we're going to get some decent television as we head, through the summer months and into the fall. As we get to SmackDown debuting on Fox. And then obviously when SmackDown debuts on Fox, that means Raw's going to have to step their game up to compete. And then we got Triple H running NXT. So right now we got Triple H and NXT versus Paul Heyman and Monday Night Raw versus Eric Bischoff and SmackDown Live. We'll see what SmackDown Live brings tomorrow night and see if they can bring us a passable show. And then, and then we got AEW with Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks and Tony Khan and all of what they're doing over there. They just had their show on Saturday. I didn't get to see much of it, but I heard it was a pretty decent show. Some people fucking loved it. I didn't get to see any of it yet, but I did get to see, most of Double or Nothing, and I enjoyed that show. So, I mean, right now we got AEW, NXT, Raw, and SmackDown. I mean, and all of the guys running these, that are pretty much in charge of creative, can all give us decent wrestling, or good wrestling. They can actually give us great wrestling, really, if they wanted to. And we could be in, possibly, who knows, for another boom in the wrestling business. Whether or not it's going to bring in the numbers that it used to, I don't know, but at least as fans, the ones that are still watching, we can finally get something that to possibly be excited for. I'm not going to get excited just yet because I read the thing, and everything that Bischoff and Heyman do has to go through Vince McMahon, so he can still change things last moment. But again, if tonight was any indication of what we're going to be seeing, I mean, it is a step in the right direction. I did enjoy tonight's show again. I'm sure you guys enjoyed some of it as well. If you did enjoy it, let me know in the comments. If you didn't like it, let me know. Let me know what you think about what's going on from here on out. Are we going to continue to get decent shows like we did tonight, or is it just going to go right back down the shitter after a week or two? And let me know in the comments. And that's pretty much going to wrap it up for me tonight. I don't really have much else to add on. If I can think of anything, I'll let you know. But I'm thinking about doing a video in the near future of everything wrong with WWE and kind of what they need to do to change it. So keep your eyes out for that. Hopefully I can post it. I know I've been slacking the last 2 weeks. I've been very inactive on my channel, but I've just been busy with work and just, going through some personal stuff. So excuse me on that. Shit happens sometimes. You just got to, do what you got to do on the side. But things are starting to kind of look more on the brighter side for myself and my personal life. So the happier that I am, the more energetic I'm going to be, and the more willing I'm going to be to want to make content every week, whether it's video game content or wrestling reviews. And the more happy I am, the more energetic I am, the more my personality will come out, and the more entertaining I can possibly be. If you don't think I'm entertaining already, or you don't think I'm logical enough with what I'm saying as far as wrestling goes. But if you think I'm a dumbass and you hate me, hey, let me know that as well. But again, I'm getting the fuck out of here, man. That's all I got to say. Raw was a decent show. If I had to give it an overall rating out of 10, I'll give tonight a 5 or a 6. Maybe somewhere in between, like a 5.5 or 6. Not, and you might say that's not a great number, but I usually, Monday Night Raw is normally like a 2 or 3 for me, man. So for it to go up 2 or 3 points is pretty fucking good, man. Maybe next week we'll get like a 6 or a 7. Who knows? But anyway, I'm getting out of here. I'll see you guys in my next video. You guys have a great night. Peace out.